Hello, Longview Chapel friends and family. For our parenting moment this week, I thought we'd talk about how to open up and have more spiritual conversations with our children and grandchildren, and hopefully lead into an opportunity for us as adults in their lives to share about our own personal spiritual journeys. This is a challenge this week from Pastor Donna in her sermon on Sunday, where she really encouraged us to be more bold in sharing our faith story and realizing that it offers encouragement and inspiration to others and hope to other people in our lives. So thinking about how we would do this with children, I put together a few tips that might be helpful in starting those conversations and keeping them going. So I thought I'd share with you some of these today, and then I'd really like your feedback from this talk tonight, that if you have some additional thoughts or how it goes when you try having these conversations with the children in your lives, and let me hear how it goes. And maybe you'll have some ideas to offer others along the way as well. I thought one point we could start with is just begin making conversation and gratitude to God a part of your daily life. Talking with your children about how thankful you are for the good things in life, for the beauty of the sunset, the beauty of nature. That can be a way that opens up conversation about God. I remember when my son was a toddler, we'd take walks out in nature and talk about, God made that. God made that stream, that tree, and just taking nature walks and talking about the beauty of God's creation can be a way to start that conversation. Another thing we can do is to talk more about prayer and exhibit prayer in our daily lives with our children. If you haven't already done so, you might just begin saying, the word of grace at the meal table and asking them if they have anything they want to pray about at that time. Making sure you let them know, I do pray for you. How's your day? What have you got going on? Any tests, anything stressing you out that I can pray about for you? I know for my children, they're grown up now, but their grandmother still prays for them, and they know if they've got something going on, they can call grandma, who will pray for them for that. So that's another way to bring the conversation about God into your daily lives. And then another thing that can inspire conversation and faith in Christ is to give your children or grandchildren a Bible and personalize it with a note, maybe a word of encouragement in the inside cover when you give it to them. If you were able to share with them your favorite Bible verse in that and tell them, maybe a verse that reminds you of them whenever you read it, that can be a way to encourage conversation about God. And to be, as you begin to get more comfortable talking about spiritual matters with your children, to reveal a little bit more. Share some specific examples of times that God helped to get you through a hard time. Maybe it was a time when you went through significant changes, like a job change or moving or losses. Times of grief can be times that we are able to talk about God and what that means in our lives a little more freely. So take advantage of those times and be a little more vulnerable in saying, hey, if it wasn't for God, I couldn't have gotten through some of those really hard times in my life. And then also be willing to ask them questions. What's been on your mind? Where have you seen God at work in your lives or in your life these days? Be willing to ask them. Be willing to listen when you ask these questions. Make good eye contact. Be calm, attentive, and actively listen and curious about their lives. Show them that unconditional love when you ask them those questions. And then be willing to tell your own faith journey and your own experience with God, maybe the time of your baptism or your experience with Christ, and share that. When you share your experiences, some things to watch out for is try not to sound too preachy. Don't come across like you're pressuring your child or grandchild to make a profession of faith or a conversion to your way of thinking. Share your experiences to share the wonder of God and just how awesome God is in your life. And then allow them to ask you questions. Open it up in that way so that you're not pressing an agenda on your child, but you really are just sharing, this is how God is real for me in my life, and God is real in different people's lives in different ways. and that allows them the freedom to experience God in their own way and know that you're a safe person that they can talk these things through with. Now, your faith story is a testimony, remember, of God's goodness. So make it more about sharing with your family and your children just how great God is and how important that is to helping you have a healthy and full life. So those are some tips to get you started. I'd love to hear your feedback. If you've had some conversations with children about their faith, I'd like to hear how it goes, and we'll share that information with one another. Hope it goes well. Have a good week.